A speedy welcome to the show for everyone. This is the Speed Lane on Asking Radio 98.5 Speed FM, and I'm your host today. My name is Mary Hangi, together with...
And I'm Clement Sampson. Good morning to you.
And the Speed Lane is where we drive through real-life conversations, make you think, make you talk, and sometimes make you check how you live. Now, today is World Food Day. It is set aside every October 16th by the United Nations to celebrate the founding of the Food and Agriculture Organization back in 1945. The aim is simply to raise awareness about hunger, ensure food security, and remind the world that everyone deserves access to safe, nutritious food. And that brings us to our focus today, food waste, because while millions go hungry daily, tons of food end up in trash every single day in our homes, at parties, in restaurants, and even after harvest. So today on the Speed Lane, we are asking, do you think people waste too much food these days? You too can call in to be part of this conversation if you reach out to us on 090 3648 5868. That is 090 3648 5868. Do you think people waste too much food these days? All right, so Clement, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thank you, Mary Cynthia. And how are you today?
I'm fine, thank you. I'll start with you. What would you say about food waste? Do you think people waste way too much food these days?
Yeah, it's a yes. It's a yes for me. I feel so.
Okay.
And I would say it's not really. I wouldn't say it's. Well, to an extent, it is intentional, right? Because, like talking about families, you should be able to gauge what you can consume.
Okay.
Yes, and considering how things are, there are not a lot of families who have the means to preserve their food. Okay, so I'm talking about refrigeration. Yes. So, but then even without refrigeration, there are other means to preserve food, such as reheating it again.
Okay.
Good. So if it turns out to be food wastage, now it could be like in the family setting, it could be that not many people have that particular food as their choice food. So when you prepare that kind of meal in the house, or you stock up on that kind of food supply at home, you should be able to gauge and either cook that food with moderation or stock up the food supply, that particular food supply with moderation, right? So that you don't end up wasting, throwing stuff away, because eventually most people in the family don't need it. It's not only in the family though, but let's just keep it at that for now.
Okay, all right. So if you have just joined in, you're on the Speed Lane here on Asking Radio 98.5 Speed FM, and today is World Food Day, and that brings us to our focus today, which is food waste. And we are asking, do you think people waste too much food these days? Like when you look at your neighbors, at some woman across the street, in restaurants and all of that, do you find people often wasting food, just throwing away, while tons of other people might not have food to eat? And you too can call in to be part of this conversation if you reach out to us on 090 3648 5868. That is 090 3648 5868. All right, so Clement, where do you mostly observe this? Like, is it among families, or is it the restaurants, or where would you say you mostly see this food wastage happening? Like, is it just among families, like homes and the rest?
For the most part, I see it happen amongst residents. Okay, I see it happen where people live. Yes. So I would say yes, it's families that do it more that I see. Okay, now let me cite this now. 2 months ago, right, my neighbor came out with this, well, obviously plenty pot of jollof rice, okay, which she said got bad because, well, there wasn't light and she could not pack it and refrigerate it. She thought there was going to be light, so she
Okay.
didn't make conscious effort to pack it up and refrigerate it. And then based on what she told me as well was that, because I was quite surprised when I saw her making moves to dispose of that large quantity of jollof rice. So
Yes.
I had to ask her, because we were on friendly terms. I'm not with them anymore, so we were on friendly terms, so I could talk to her freely about it. And she said it turned out that, yes, apart from the light explanation, no light, she couldn't pack it up. She didn't think of packing it up and refrigerating it rather. Apart from that, she said that it turned out that now her family rather is a family of 4, just 2 very, very young children, plus herself and her husband. Now it turned out that apart from herself and her husband, the 2 children did not fancy that food.
Okay.
Now she didn't think it was going to be like that, but kids being kids, sometimes they just feel they just want to do what they want. They just want to eat what they prefer. And so it turned out that part of jollof rice she made, her 2 children did not fancy it, and
Okay.
she and her husband alone could not finish it up like at a go like that. So, and unfortunately for her, there was no light. But then I thought in my mind, but why did she not think of heating it up? Well,
Yes. Instead of just pouring the whole thing away.
but at that point, it had already gotten bad. That was the problem. It had already gotten bad. Now, some other factors make food go bad faster than you expect them to go bad. So maybe, I think at that point, her best bet would have been to refrigerate it, but unfortunately there was no light. So maybe she was thinking, well, at daybreak I would reheat the food so it doesn't go bad. But then maybe she didn't get the chance. Maybe due to some factors I really don't know, the food got bad overnight, and then she was forced to have to discard the food that way. Now this brings me to how I started initially when I said, but families should be able to gauge what food.
Okay, we have a call. Hello.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. Tell us your name and where you're calling from.
My name is Maria. I'm calling from Makodi.
Okay, so do you think people waste too much food these days?
I don't think so, because considering the way the economy is, people are being more vigilant about spending now. So I feel like people are becoming more conservative about spending.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much for calling in to contribute. Well, she says because of the economy and all of that, people are now trying to spend less. So you will not find people wasting as much food. But for me, I think people still waste as much food, even though they keep crying about economy this and all of that. They keep wasting because I see it outside. When you go outside, sometimes you might not even find the person who disposes of food, like any kind of food or so, but then you see it there, like the waste being trash anywhere. You can just see food around. So even with the economy, if you ask me, I still think people are still careless with food and then all of that. You also can call in to be part of this conversation if you reach out to us on 090 3648 5868. That is 090 3648 5868. Do you think people waste too much food these days? All right, so Clement, you were saying something.
Yes, I said so. Now talking about that lady's case, that's married woman's case.
Okay, let's take this call. Sorry. Hello.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. Tell us your name and where you're calling from.
I'm Shimaka Andrew, calling from Api.
Okay, so Andrew, could you tell us, do you think people waste too much food these days?
Yes, because the factors that contribute to wastage are still there, even though the economy is biting harder.
Okay.
Those factors have actually not changed over time. For instance, in the bid to conserve food because of the reality of the economy, people over-preserve food to a point that it becomes a waste, and they
Okay.
end up discarding it. they're saying do not eat too much, do not overcook. And then they want to preserve. Light is an issue. Light, light is an issue.
Okay.
And then, those who want to preserve food in their fridges are finding it very difficult to have light to contend with, which leads to wastage. And then there is also another class of people who don't care about the economy.
Okay.
The people in affluence. So if you go to their gatherings, probably because they also want to maintain their class status,
Yes.
they have not allowed the people who need the food to be part of the event.
Okay.
So in reality, the people they invite to their events really cannot eat what they have prepared, and it also leads to wastage.
Okay.
Then there is also another group of people. This group of people can't say no to the quantity of food given to them. They assume they can finish that quantity, and then you give them, and they don't even handle it properly, and then it also leads to wastage because people taking care of, people providing the food wouldn't actually want to preserve such foods. So the factors that contribute to wastage are still there. So even in the space of this biting economy, there is still wastage.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much for calling in to contribute. He had quite a lot to say, especially he was mentioning those factors that contribute to people actually ending up wasting food and all of that. And he mentioned one that I would specifically comment on: the people who would not say no to the quantity of food that they are given, and also people who will just assume we can actually eat as much, or we can actually do more than this, and then at the end of the day, the assumption, the whole assumption is false, and it just ends up wasting. So would you like to comment on what he said, Clement, or just go on with what you were saying before the call came in?
Now, the point he just made about the lack of electricity supply, it's a very solid factor that still forces people to waste food, not really intentionally, but a lot of times unintentionally. Okay, but then there are still, of course, people who are still, well, they just still feel like they have enough, and they're just still being careless, wasteful, right? Now, like going back to what I was talking about, I was trying to say it is important for families to have gauged what particular class of food makes wave in the family, that is most popular amongst the family members, and that which is not, so that when you want to stock your supply, your food supply, you go more for the ones that are more favorable, and you reduce the ones that are not so favorable, that only a select number of people eat in the family, right? These are ways that you can reduce waste in your family. You don't just go buying stuff and then you just load stuff all about. Now, I still see people who, and I'm not saying dogs should not be taken care of, but even the sad truth is these dogs, even what they even get from us is even waste. So I still see a lot of people who end up dealing out food that has gone bad to their dogs right at home. Not now, this food they deal out to their dogs, it's not like they are like conscientiously feeding these dogs, right? It's just an indication that they had food to spare, and it's wasted food. So they just give it to these dogs. Ordinarily, they would not have taken their time to give these dogs that large quantity of food. And to talk about, for example, jollof rice, they wouldn't have given that dog that much supply of jollof rice like that if it had not gone bad. So I'm just using that as an indicator to people still being wasteful, about people still being wasteful of food around them.
Okay. So you're on the speed lane here on Asking Radio 98.5 Speed FM, and we are talking about food waste. And the question is, do you think people waste too much food these days? You too can call in to be part of this conversation. If you reach out to us on 090 3648 5868, that is 090 3648 Call in to tell us if you think people waste too much food these days. And remember, today is World Food Day, which is why we are talking about food today. Do you just see your neighbors throw out food, or do you see that people struggle with actually preserving food or just cooking what they can actually eat? Sometimes even raw food is being wasted. You can call in to share all of that with us. All right, so Clement, do you think that people have lost the sense of value of food just because it's easily available or anything like that? I don't even think it's easily available, but like to some extent, like if you have money you can purchase the food, right? So do you think people lost their sense of value of food just because they can just purchase it, like it's around? There are some places that people actually have their money, but they will not even find it to buy.
No, I don't believe that anybody can even lose. Well, let's talk about Nigeria here right now. The cost of purchasing food, it is high, more than it used to be. Although some people would say, yeah, well, foodstuffs have the price of foodstuff has dropped like lately, but not significantly. It's nothing that I would really count on. Okay, so people I cannot say Nigerians specifically have lost the like value for food. Okay, it is something they need, and it is something that is very hard for them to get now these days. It is just that there are factors that persist presently that would make it seem as if they've lost value for food, but it's not so. Like in the case of people throwing away food, not because they want to throw away this food, it's just because, for example, they ran out of maybe gas, for example, and they also don't have lights to refrigerate their food and preserve it.
That sounds like people who are actually not taking it seriously, because if you're going to run out of gas, shouldn't you be calculative that, okay, this gas is not going to take me all through, and then all of that. And also, if you know that you don't have a proper functioning refrigerator, are you not supposed to, okay, I'm making food in lesser quantity so I don't have to throw the rest away or anything like that? So to some extent, I don't know, to me it seems like people intentionally do this, and they just be like, okay, if there's no lights now, or even if I don't have fridge now, we'll manage. Anyone that remain, we'll just throw it or give to the dog, like you mentioned. So to some extent, I feel it's intentional, and mostly intentional self, because everything, all the factors surrounding why people will just throw away food can actually be managed or can be prevented, but people will still go ahead and just take certain decisions based on assumptions and say, okay, it's not my fault. People throw food and be trying to feel less guilty with something like, God forgive me, and then all of that, and then still throw it away. So to some extent, I do feel like it's intentional though.
Okay, now this year's theme of this World Food Day is hand in hand for better foods and a better future. Okay, now there's this emphasis on better up and down. Now the emphasis on better production, better nutrition, better environment, and a better life all round. Okay, now when it comes to now the thing is, this is something that is calling for collaboration, right? Now let's start from how these foods are being grown. Okay, now from the very beginning, when these foods are grown by farmers, okay, we start seeing waste. Like for example, if you go to especially places in the market where they sell vegetables, where they sell fruits, that's where it's even so obvious in the way waste happens. Okay, that's an obvious place where you can start seeing food going to waste. Now, from the level at which this food is being produced at farms already, we're beginning to see wastage, because for the most part, our food supply comes from rural areas for the most part.
Okay.
Okay, so these are people who have very basic ways of preserving their food. Okay, sometimes they store their food, like for example yams, in barns, and sometimes these barns, they leak, and then rain gets into these yams stored out there, and then they begin to rot, right? And then also when these farmers now begin to say, well, let's start moving these crops that we've grown out there into the market, into city markets, right? The wastage still continues to happen from there.
Okay.
Not because they want to, but it's just because they are limited in the way they operate.
Okay.
Limited to how they store their crops, their harvested crops, and limited to how they transport these crops to the market. Okay, you see sometimes these trucks that even convey these food supplies, this food stuff to markets out there, they're not even properly covered. I don't know if you've seen many times
I
when
have.
you see these 911 trucks conveying yams or conveying tomatoes, and all there is just a big sheet of tarpaulin spread over the back of the truck. Now you see, when these trucks are moving from the rural areas, the point where these farmers are concentrated, to the market, right? They encounter stuff like bad roads. Now sometimes these trucks, they tip over, right? And these goods, these food products they're conveying, get damaged in the process.
Okay.
Well, also sometimes these food products get beat up by rain. Okay. Now these are instances when waste is happening.
All right.
This is even before this food stuff even reach people who will consume them. Waste is already happening. Okay. Now this waste, as far as I'm concerned, for the most part, it's because of a very reliable means of storage.
Okay.
Yes. So where I'm driving at right now is, yes, we have a problem of food wastage. But then how do we resolve it? How do we solve it?
All right. Yes. Okay. If you have just joined in, this is the Speed Lane on Asking Radio 98.5 Speed FM, and we are talking about food waste. Do you think people waste too much food these days? You too can call in to be part of this conversation if you reach out to us on 090 3648 5868. That is 090 3648 5868. How do you observe society today in residential areas, among families, anywhere at all? Do you see it as though people are wasting way too much food instead of actually protecting this food because it's important for us all? You can call in to share all that with us.
And also how can we
exactly
how can
brings
we
us to
stop
that
this waste?
Can we start with you, Clement? Is there any way you think, okay, we can actually get rid of this problem, reduce food waste? Because I know we cannot actually fix it entirely, because yes, so like how do we even make attempts to actually reduce how much we waste food?
Well, hand in hand for better foods and for a better future. So it is synergy we're talking about here. Okay, so like I said, rural farmers are the ones who predominantly supply us our food. Okay, so now these people, they need empowerment by themselves. They cannot, it's not such a very easy thing for them to provide the means for very effective storage of their farm produce, right?
Okay.
Now this is where well-meaning individuals and well-empowered individuals, this is where the private sector, okay, this is where NGOs, and this is where the government itself has to come into has to come in. Well, they all have to come in to empower these farmers, right? like I said, this is not something these farmers can effectively do for themselves.
All right.
Sometimes they don't even know that the right way to even do it.
Okay, let's take this call. Hello. Hello. Yes, good morning. Tell us your name and where you're calling from. Could you be more audible, please? You said your name is who?
Calling from Union.
All right. So tell us, do you think people waste too much food these days?
Okay. From the family aspect, I don't think it is that, because nowadays people.
Okay. We are struggling to hear you, but you can maybe call back and share with us if you think people waste too much food these days. And that is on 090-3648-5868. And Clement, he started by saying from the family aspect, he doesn't think people actually waste much food like that again, because people are actually being cautious since things are getting harder and all of that. But I think it's kind of lining with what you said. I don't know, except if he calls back.
But
Hello.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. Tell us your name and where you're calling from.
My name is Fidelis. I'm calling from Waterworks.
Okay, Fidelis, do you think people waste too much food these days?
No, because
Mm-hmm.
the fertilizers that are used in the farm are very cost. So able economical of using food. That is my own idea.
All right. Thank you very much for calling in to answer, Fidelis. Okay, go on, Clement. You wanted to ask something.
Yeah, I wanted to say right now, even if we, at the family level, we start making conscious effort to not like to overcook and allowing them to go to waste. The thing is, there are these factors that are still fighting hard, that will still make us continue to fail. And that is why the big question here is, how can we work actively to stop food wastage? And when we still continue to have electricity, how it's epileptic, it doesn't stay, it's not constant. Yes, for families who even have refrigeration, the means to refrigerating their food,
Okay.
that would even still be difficult for them. Okay, now I'm still going to go to the root of this whole thing, which is farmers who even do this, who even grow this food for us. Okay, first of all, before they just, it's not all the time that they harvest and take straight to the market. So a lot of times they do storage first of all. Okay, now it's time enough for NGOs, for the private sector to step in and, I would say, bring in the innovation of modern storage means, such as cold rooms, for example, and then also the logistics of conveying these farm produce to the market, right? Whereby we can start talking about the private sector providing logistics, such as trucks that convey these foods to the market, that are cold rooms in their own way. These are vehicles that convey foodstuff, right? Perishable foodstuff, especially, such as vegetables, such as fruits. Now, for the most part, our farmers that grow fruits and vegetables, they don't have a means of preserving these things before they reach the market.
Okay.
And that's when these things so it reduces their, should I say, shelf life. Yes, especially those ones that end up in open markets, like for example Wurukum market there. As soon as they come from the farmers right into the market there, the person who sells them is in a race to sell them off quickly before they go bad. Okay, so now if individuals cannot afford to provide their own effective way of storing this food, such as cold rooms that are not reliant on public power supply, that are reliant on, let's say, in newer forms of energy now, like solar energy, okay, then perhaps the private sector, perhaps NGOs, perhaps even the government too, can start doing things to empower people, making it available for people to have access to. So I'm talking about setting up these facilities for storage.
Okay, let's take this call. Hello.
Yes, this is Gabriel. I call back.
All right. So tell us, what do you think?
Yes, I started by saying from the family aspect, I don't think there is much problem of wastage. But let me go to that's from feed to storage.
Okay.
Yes, I will advise because I won't say much about that because already Mr. President is also speaking on that.
Yes.
So the major challenge is the packaging or the transport, the materials used to transport them from feed or where the farmers produce them, because they produce them and they don't have that standard way of preserving them. Then probably need to just sell on time so that they don't totally lose. So my point here is that the government or even individuals who want to venture into companies should bring much more of this company that deals with this product. Most times you see that the farmer is at the loose end, like they lose. They will produce very, very cheap. And the country, these are the things we need. Since we don't have those company producing this product, you imagine that we have this material, the raw materials, and we still go out buy them from, like, to import them. Why not put more emphasis or support to this aspect of production? Make sure there is much more companies to produce these products, and then by then to increase the income of the farmer, and also it's maybe, I don't know, it will also generate income and contribute to the country's GDP. So I think that is
all right. Thank you very much for calling in to add that. And he's also talking about the root causes of the problem, or where it starts from. That's with the farmers who do not have the correct materials to actually preserve those foods before they get to us, before they get to the retailers who actually sell to the direct consumers. So it's more like if they had those necessary equipment that they needed to be able to preserve those foodstuffs before they actually get to the wholesalers or the retailers, it would be better. I mean, like, it will kind of reduce the amount of spoilage and then waste that ends up coming from that. So you too can call in to be part of this conversation if you reach out to us on 090 3648 5868. That is 090 3648 5868. Do you think people waste too much food these days? All right. So Clement, he said he's coming from the same angle in which you're coming, but like, there are some things that, should I say, will take a longer time to actually fix. Like, if you mention all those equipments that are supposed to be used to preserve food so that they don't spoil on the way before they even get to people who are going to now sell to direct consumers. So what can those consumers on their own end, like the last man to get this food into his hands, what are the habits that you think they can cultivate, at least on their own end, to be able to minimize the amount of food that we actually waste?
Yeah, well, to me, it doesn't get past them just being conscious about as in buying what they truly need, not what they want, just because they have the purchasing power to buy whatever they feel like buying, right? Just there's this security that comes to the mind when somebody when you have food supply. Sometimes, even me personally, I found myself to go from one stretch, to go from one stretch after buying food supplies at a particular time, from when I normally finish up my food supplies, right? I find myself reaching the end of it and I'm still in full supply of some commodities, some food commodities. Now, those are indications to me that those things, I bought them not really because I needed them. I just wanted them. I just wanted to just have them just in case, right? So if you have this kind of mindset like that, it is something that can easily lead you to wasting food stuff. Okay, you're taking it off when you buy food stuff that you don't truly need, right? You're taking it off the shelf. You're making it unavailable for other people who would have real need for it.
Okay.
You're just holding stuff that you don't need, and in that instance, you're creating shortage of that product out there for people who truly need it, because you got it not out of need but out of want. Okay, and that is you in another form wasting food supply. So it doesn't get past for families just really taking stock of what really, let me use the word, sells, what really sells, what is most popular in their families. Okay, so that they don't end up buying food stuff that eventually goes to waste.
Okay, so you too can call in to be part of this conversation if you reach out to us on 090 3648 5868. That is 090 3648 5868. Do you think people waste too much food these days? All right, so Clement, for the root cause where we have been mentioning, okay, right from the farmers and the rest. So do you think it also has to do with the amount of food that is being produced? Like, would it be a no to actually cut down the amount of food that is being produced?
No, it cannot be, because as a matter of fact, if you can even produce more, it's even to your advantage, okay, as a country, because it means you would have gotten to a stage that you can even sell the excesses to other countries who don't have what you have.
So the problem is not the amount they produce. The problem is actually that they are not able to
preserve these things,
that,
store these things properly.
Okay.
Like store them post harvest. That's what I'm talking about. Before taking them to the market, and in the process of taking them to the market, and even when they arrive at the market, there is poor storage of these food stuff. So this eventually leads to wastage.
Okay. So do you think retailers also, like, should I say, in the market, do you think somehow they also contribute to this whole food waste? Because if you ask me, I see them and like people selling and they are not actually preserving the foods properly. Like, you see a lot of open stuff just getting perched on fruit flies and all of that. So I don't know if you somehow feel they also have a fault in this, like, to some extent, because okay, let's say the food was not properly preserved before it got to them, but even on their own end, I feel like they are also contributing to even make it more worse. Before, sometimes they are even unable to sell out, so you find people throwing away. I know of places that they just go and dump, okay, let's say tomatoes that they could not sell for the day, and they know that okay, by tomorrow nobody will buy, or it's way too much, it's even past the some people go to buy even the one that have spoiled, but sometimes it's way past that stage where they know that no one will buy again, and they just end up dumping it somewhere. You see people even picking from that. Me, I've seen it where I come from. So to some extent, would you put the fault on those local market sellers as well?
Well, unfortunately, our markets are such that not many, like, there's hardly any regulation, right? Especially health wise.
Okay.
So people just stay in the open, and then they expose the food stuff they're selling to all the elements. Okay. And you see, there are microorganisms that even increase the pace of food stuff, especially fruits and vegetables, getting bad. Okay, this is what many people selling in the market, selling these class of foodstuff, don't even realize. Okay, so and then also, as it is also another unfortunate thing whereby, because I've only seen people utilize cold rooms for selling of fish. Yes, people who sell fish. Okay, they go to these places, okay, whose business it is to buy these fishes and store them in cold rooms and sell at wholesale price, right? And then yes, these retailers, they go and buy from these people. But I haven't seen somebody like a big foodstuff seller, okay, who, let's say, specializes in fruits and vegetables, who operates a cold room.
Okay.
Or not an entirely cold room, because you cannot, it's not good to well preserve fruits and vegetables in an extremely cold environment, right?
Okay.
But a space, a container that has regulated temperature, okay, to preserve fruits and vegetables. I haven't seen. Okay, you only see this kind of stuff where this kind of perishable food items are preserved properly in supermarkets, right? But then retail traders who sell perishable food items, they don't key into the usefulness of storage facilities that can extend the shelf life of perishable goods. Now, this is something I'll advise them to start thinking of, to start looking into. Okay, you mustn't be a supermarket, okay, before you start considering how you can improve your services in terms of selling perishable food stuff.
Okay.
Okay.
Right.
These are ways we can work towards, because, mind you, it is a matter of better foods for a better future, right? And from what I deduce from this, it's collaboration, it's synergy, it's working together. Everybody is involved.
All
Okay,
right.
from the different levels of food production, food consumption, all the way through. Okay.
Yes.
Now, there's also something that is quite important for us to understand, and when we allow, there's this talk about climate change, right? When we allow a lot of our food to go to waste, you see, these things, by the time they rot, they contribute to the emission of harmful gases, okay, that pollute our atmosphere. Yes. So this when we think about the dangers of, you just wake up and then you feel like you don't need this food stuff anymore. You've cooked it, you don't need it anymore, and then you just go and spill it away. You take it to a trash bin and then you dump it. Okay. Or you just feel like, I'm selling this perishable food stuff. Oh, it has gone bad. There's nothing I can do about it, and then you just discard them.
Okay.
Now, these things, they when in the process of them decomposing, they emit gases, and these gases end up polluting our atmosphere.
All right.
So it is something that requires conscious effort at different levels of society. Okay, working together to prevent food wastage.
All right, well said. We heard him, and right now it's time for us to wrap it up here on the speed lane. And it's clear that this food waste happens at different levels, just as he mentioned. World Food Day reminds us that food is more than what's on our plates. It's what sustains the world. Every grain, every seed, every meal counts. If we each make a small effort to value food, to buy only what we need, to store it properly, and to share what we can, we'll be making a big difference. So as you go about your day, don't forget to remember, waste less, value more, and make every meal count. Also, coming up next at 10 a.m. after the news is King James 90s Top 10. So stay tuned for that and more right here on Asking Radio 98.5 Speed FM. This has been the Speed Lane, and I've been your host, Mary Hangiu, together with
Clement Sampson, of course.
And together we are saying bye.